You have killed lavender before. Don't lie. You bought that gorgeous little plant from the nursery, brought it home, picturing a Provence-style hedge spilling purple across your garden, and within 6 weeks, it looked like a pile of dried twigs someone forgot to throw away. Here is the thing nobody tells you at the garden center. Lavender doesn't die because you are a bad gardener. It dies because almost everything you have been told about caring for it is wrong. The watering advice is wrong. The soil advice is wrong. The pruning advice is catastrophically wrong. In the next few minutes, I am going to hand you 5 secrets that flip the conventional wisdom on its head. These are not tips you will find on the back of a seed packet. These come from how lavender actually grows in the wild, on rocky Mediterranean hillsides, where nobody waters it, nobody feeds it, and nobody fusses over it. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why your lavender keeps dying and exactly how to grow plants so tough they will outlive your interest in gardening. Stick with me, because secret number 3 is the one that saves more lavender plants than anything else, and almost no one talks about it. Stop treating it like a plant, and start treating it like a weed. Here is your first mindset shift, and it changes everything. Lavender is not a delicate, pampered ornamental. It is basically a tough Mediterranean weed wearing a pretty dress. In its natural habitat, it grows out of cracks in limestone, baked by sun, battered by wind, and ignored by rain for months at a time. The plants you see in those dreamy French fields are not being coddled. They are being neglected on an industrial scale. So, when you bring lavender home and immediately start treating it like a fussy houseplant, watering it on a schedule, feeding it compost tea, and mulching it with rich organic matter, you are essentially smothering a desert survivor in luxury, and luxury kills lavender faster than drought ever could. What you need to do instead is pick the worst, sunniest, driest, most neglected spot in your garden. That dead corner where nothing grows because the soil is thin and the sun is brutal. That is lavender heaven. If you have a slope, even better. If that slope faces south and the soil is rocky and your other plants refuse to live there, you have just found the perfect lavender bed. Stop trying to give it the good soil. Save your good soil for your tomatoes. Lavender wants the leftovers. Now, let's talk about soil, because this is where most people go wrong before they even plant. You have probably heard well-drained soil 1,000 times, and you have probably nodded along thinking your garden bed counts. It doesn't. Well-drained for lavender means something far more extreme than what you are imagining. Here is what you actually need to do. When you dig your planting hole, make it twice as wide as the root ball, but only as deep. Then, take the soil you removed and throw at least half of it away. Replace that half with coarse sand, fine gravel, or even crushed limestone if you can get it. We are not talking about play sand from the hardware store. We are talking about builder sand, or horticultural grit, the gritty, chunky stuff that water flies through. Mix this thoroughly with what is left of your native soil, and you have just recreated a Mediterranean hillside in your backyard. Then, and this is the part people skip, build a small mound. Plant your lavender on top of a slight raised hump, maybe 2 or 3 inches above the surrounding ground. Water will run away from the crown of the plant instead of pooling around it. Because here is the brutal truth about lavender. It doesn't die of thirst. It drowns, even in summer, even in what feels like dry weather to you. The roots want to breathe more than they want to drink, and that mound is the difference between a plant that thrives for 15 years and one that rots out in its first winter. One more thing on soil. If you have been adding compost or manure to your lavender bed because someone told you plants love it, stop. Rich soil makes lavender grow soft, leggy, floppy, and disease-prone. It produces fewer flowers and a weaker fragrance, because the essential oils that give lavender its smell are concentrated when the plant is stressed. A pampered lavender is a boring lavender. Keep it lean, keep it mean, and it will reward you. This is the big one. This is the secret that, if you take nothing else from this video, will single-handedly transform your success rate. Are you ready? Stop watering your lavender almost entirely. I know that sounds insane. Every instinct as a gardener tells you that a plant needs water, especially in summer, especially when it looks a little tired. But lavender's tired look is not thirst. It is almost always the opposite. The wilting, the yellowing lower leaves, that sad gray cast that makes you reach for the hose, those are signs of overwatering 9 times out of 10. Here is the rule that actually works. For the first 2 or 3 weeks after planting, water deeply once a week to help the roots establish. After that, you water only when you have had no rain for 2 to 3 weeks, and the soil 2 inches down is bone dry. Stick your finger in. If you feel any moisture at all, walk away. And when you do water, water deeply and infrequently, soaking the area once, and then letting it dry out completely before even thinking about water again. In winter, you do not water at all. None. Not even if it has been dry. Wet roots plus cold soil is the #1 killer of established lavender plants. People lose more lavender to kind, well-intentioned winter watering than any pest or disease combined. Your lavender is sleeping. Let it sleep dry. If your plant is in a pot, the rules tighten further. Pots dry faster, but also retain moisture in ways the ground doesn't, especially around the bottom. Use a terracotta pot, never plastic, never glazed ceramic, because terracotta breathes and pulls excess moisture out of the soil. Drill extra drainage holes if your pot only has one, and tip the pot slightly so water cannot sit in the saucer. Better yet, throw the saucer away entirely. If you have ever pruned your lavender and watched it slowly turn into a woody, hollow, dead-looking donut with green only at the tips, raise your hand. This happens to almost everyone, and it is because pruning lavender is genuinely counterintuitive. You have to be more aggressive than feels comfortable, but you also have to know exactly where to stop, because cutting to the wrong part of the plant and you have killed it permanently. Here is the method. Lavender needs to be pruned twice a year, and the timing matters enormously. The first cut comes in early spring, just as you see new green growth pushing out of the gray stems. Take your sharpest pruners and shape the entire plant into a tight dome, removing about 1/3 of the green growth. Not a light trim, a real cut. You are sculpting a tidy mound. The second cut comes right after flowering finishes in summer, usually late summer or very early autumn. This time, you are cutting back harder, removing the spent flower stems and another inch or 2 of the green growth below them. Again, shaping the plant into a dome. But here is the rule that saves the plant. Never, ever cut into the woody, leafless, brown stems at the base. Lavender wood does not regenerate. Unlike roses or many shrubs, if you cut into bare wood, that branch is dead forever, and a plant that has been chopped into the wood will never recover. Always leave at least 1 inch of green growth above the wood. You are trimming the leafy top, never butchering the trunk. Do this religiously from year 1, even when the plant is small and you feel cruel cutting it back. And your lavender will stay compact, bushy, and productive for 10 or 15 years. Skip a pruning cycle, and it starts splitting open in the middle, going woody and hollow. And within 2 or 3 years, it will be unsalvageable. The plant that never dies is really the plant that gets pruned correctly. On time, every time. Here is the final secret, and it is the one that determines whether any of the previous four even matter. Most of the lavender that dies in home gardens dies because the wrong variety was planted in the wrong climate. The dreamy English cottage garden lavender that thrives in cool, damp Britain is a completely different beast from the lavender that survives a humid southern summer or a freezing Midwestern winter. There are roughly three groups you need to know about. English lavender, the angustifolia varieties like Munstead and Hidcote, is the most cold-hardy and the most fragrant for culinary use. If you live somewhere with real winters, snow, frost, and freezing nights, this is your plant. It handles cold beautifully, but struggles in heavy humidity. French and Spanish lavenders. The Stoeches varieties with the funny little rabbity ear flowers are gorgeous and dramatic, but tender. They hate frost. If you are in a warm coastal climate or growing in pots you can bring inside, they are spectacular. If you are in a cold winter zone, they are an annual at best. And then there is Lavender, the hybrid lavenders like Grosso and Provence. These are the big, robust workhorses you see in commercial fields. They handle heat, they handle some humidity, they bloom huge, and they are tough as nails. For most climates that are not extreme, lavender is the smartest choice for a beginner because it forgives more mistakes than any other type. Match the variety to your climate honestly. Don't buy a French lavender because it is pretty if you live somewhere it cannot survive winter. Don't plant English lavender in steamy, humid heat and wonder why it rotted. Walk into the nursery knowing exactly which group works for where you live, and you have already done more for your success than 90% of buyers. So, there you have it. 5 secrets. And now you know why lavender keeps dying for you, and exactly how to grow plants so resilient you could forget about them for a month and come back to find them blooming harder than ever. Treat it like a weed, not a pet. Build it a hillside, not a flower bed. Water it almost never. Prune it twice a year, but never into the wood. And plant the right variety for where you actually live, not where you wish you lived. If these secrets change the way you look at the lavender in your garden, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. We are uncovering the gardening truths that have been buried for too long. Let's cultivate a future where your garden thrives. Our next treasure trove of knowledge will be opening soon.